Are you looking to take your personal finances to the next level? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not, with your host, Joseph Sangle.
Well, welcome to episode number 98 of the Monday Money Tip Podcast. My name is Joseph Sangle. We are fired up to be able to bring you this podcast from I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. And I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Megan Hibbard. How are you doing today? Are you fired up?
Doing great.
Yes.
Just laughing at you. You try to start the podcast without the microphone.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, I tried to start this podcast without the microphone, and I've got copious amounts of hair on top of my
You
head.
have COVID hair.
COVID hair. Still have my coronavirus hair, and so it's time for us to say goodbye to it, but maybe I'll just buzz it off. As a kid, that's what I did to start every summer. My mom would just bring us in and take it all off.
Trying to picture you with buzzed hair.
My pride is voting against it, but maybe we'll go there. Depends on how long it takes for all this stuff to reopen and everything. It is May 18th. It's Monday. We hope you're winning with your money. We're 2 episodes away from the century mark. Can you believe that?
We should do something fun.
Yeah, we're going to do something fun. We're going to put our brains together and come up with some fun for all of our listeners. Tell everybody what we're going to talk about today.
Yes, it's kind of a controversial topic here in the studio of how we say it. So here we go. The topic is fire your wanter. Wanter.
Yeah, fire your wanter is how I pronounce it. But I realized I'm using a U instead of an A.
We don't
So
know how
it's
to say it.
fire your wanter.
Wanter.
Your wanter.
Yep.
Your wanter. We're not quite sure how to pronounce it, but I hope you get the gist.
Okay.
Fire your wanter.
Yes. So the question is, I need help. I can't seem to keep any of my savings. As soon as we achieve rung number 2, they're talking about the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not ladder, which is a month's worth of expenses in their savings account. I end up spending it. How do I break this cycle? It's so frustrating.
Oh, man. I've been there. So I need help. I can't seem to keep any of my savings. As soon as we achieve rung number 2 with a month's worth of money in our savings account, we end up spending it. How do I break this cycle? It's so frustrating. I know that feeling. I've lived that for years and years and years until I finally got set on the right course when I was 28 years old. It was awesome. And it was life-changing. So I can't wait to talk about this. And we've already given you a clue of how to do it. It's firing your wanter. Or wanter. Or wanter. Tell everybody what our feature resource is for this month.
Our featured resource for this month is your book, I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. So we're in a crazy unknown season right now, and this book provides extremely helpful and practical steps for your money journey. Whether you're looking for help preparing a budget, calculating your debt freedom date, or the amount of money needed for retirement, capturing the power of compound interest, investing, or questions about insurance, there's something for everyone. So just visit iwasbrokenowimnot.com/help for 25% off plus free shipping.
That's awesome. And so we encourage you to check that out. There'll be a link to that in this podcast show notes. And so we're excited to be able to offer that. We know that things have been really crazy, and sometimes it's good to just go back to the basics. And that's what I Was Broke, Now I'm Not is all about. So before we dive into answering our featured question of the episode, we have that magical time. You know what time it is? Let's go.
Now it's time to get caught up with our current money events.
So this portion of the podcast is brought to you by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. Utilize the Debt Freedom Date Calculator to determine when you'll be debt-free. It will provide vision for your future and fuel to power you towards financial freedom. Visit the website iwasbrokenowimnot.com, click on Tools, and select Debt to find the debt calculators. And the best part is all the tools are free.
Yes, all the tools are free. And so we're super excited about all those tools. They are really helpful to really give you inspiration and vision for when you can become debt-free. It's great.
Yeah.
Today's current money event section is brought to you by the United States National Debt. Dun, 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 dun. The national debt skyrocketed even more due to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic and subsequent deployment of an additional cool $2 trillion in financial assistance to employers and individuals across this nation. 26 million people are laid off as of the recording of this podcast. Another 34 plus million would be laid off if it were not for the Paycheck Protection Program.
Wow.
That would be 60 million unemployed, numbers we've never even imagined. Be forewarned, this national debt is going to become a massive, capital M-A-S-S-I-V-E, issue within the next decade. It's going to be.
Yeah.
In the next 10 years, you're going to hear a lot about the national debt. We have $24.7 trillion in debt. You ought to watch it at the usdebtclock.org. I mean, it is spinning around and around. It's now up to $75,027 per citizen, but not every citizen pays taxes. Why? Because some of them are children. My kids do not pay taxes. They are another tax on my budget, however. If you look at this cost of debt per taxpayer, the ones that are actually paying the debt, it's $199,465 per taxpayer. That is a fine home for most people. So how do we fix it? I'm going to give you a quick 4-way method to fix this problem. Feel free to forward this to your senator, to your House of Representatives congressman and congresswoman. Send this to President Donald John Trump and anyone else who is in politics. I also urge you, if your state does not operate in the black, so to speak, and operates in the red, you know who you are. It's not our home state. I encourage you to send this to him as well. This is very simple, and this will fix the problem. You ready? We're going to solve the national debt right now, Megan.
Can't wait.
Number one, balance the budget. It's income minus outgo equals exactly zero, bozo. I'm sorry, trademark. Income minus outgo equals exactly zero. It's that simple. Even Bozo the Clown can do this. Balance your budget. Okay, that's number one. Okay, number two, spend less than we take in. Swear no one wants to lead the way. Think about this political stance. Elect me. I'm going to cut all spending in our district. I'm going to make sure no money and no pork barrel spending happens for us. Can you imagine that? And so I'm going to go get our fair share. I'm going to get the bacon and bring it back home here. Called pork barrel spending. And all of them are great at it. But you got to spend less than you take in. So balance that budget. Spend less than we take in. Number three, refinance our debt. Interest rates are very low. Refinance the debt. Get it to lower interest. Man, while interest rates are at record lows, get it to the record low. So we're not paying no 5, 6, 7% on some debts that we have. Okay? And then number four, we got to grow the income of the nation, of your state. How do you grow your income? You got to grow the economy so people pay more taxes, or you got to increase taxes. No one likes to hear that, or you do both. And let me tell you, I'm going to look right into the camera here for all of you watching on YouTube. I am willing to pay more taxes. Joe Sengle's willing to pay more taxes. Number one, if it's the fair share. And by the way, fair share does not equal I pay more because, I took some risk and had some businesses be successful and some real estate be successful. It's a fair share. And number two, that the government who collects it guarantees me they will use it to balance the budget and get rid of this debt. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
And that they choose to spend less than they make. I feel like that's fair. And so I look at this and say, you know what? This applies to your personal finances as well. How do you fix your problem if you have a broke budget and you have a bunch of debt? Well, you balance the budget. Income minus outgo equals exactly zero. You spend less than you take in. That's not fun, but it's not forever. It's just for now. You refinance your debt to help you get rid of it faster. And then you grow your income. How do you do that? More investments, improving your skill sets, getting pay raises, that sort of thing. And that's how you fix it. I just fixed the national debt in like 3 minutes.
There you go.
Is that unbelievable?
I'm not sure why they haven't called you yet.
It's that simple. And so balance the budget, spend less than we take in, refinance all debt, grow our income. It's that simple. President Trump, Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, I'm awaiting your phone call. That's it for today's current money events. Get fired up.
That was great. Thank you for that.
Why were you laughing?
I don't remember. I just think it was funny. You were getting, I don't know. I like when you read it like it's a news report.
Yeah, dun, dun, dun.
It just makes me laugh. Yeah. All right. Our success story is kind of a mix. So we've had several groups and people and that kind of stuff email us or post on our social media channels that they've been doing the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not group study via Zoom. So not letting this pandemic stop them from gaining their finances. Yep. So we just wanted to take a moment and say thank you. Thank you for prioritizing your finances and utilizing technology to climb the I Was Broke, Now I'm Not ladder. And one of these individuals was Philip, who said they were getting ready to start their last session via Zoom, and they would be doing it again in the fall.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so we really are inspired by everybody who's continued to improve their skill sets during this, social distancing, self-isolating time frame. because you know what? You can be bitter about it or you can get better. You can choose to use this time that you have on your hands to be able to improve your skill sets. And one of those great skill sets that we usually allow to kind of linger and languish is money stuff. And so we're really inspired by those of you who've taken that next step. That's awesome.
Yep. Okay. So just to remind you guys, our featured question for today is, I need help. I can't seem to keep any of my savings. As soon as we achieve rung number 2, which is a month's worth of expenses in our savings account, I end up spending it. How do I break this cycle? It's so frustrating.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so we've titled this the Fire Your Wanter. It's time to fire your wanter. Fire your wanter, fire your wanter. It depends on how you pronounce it or enunciate it, but you get the drift. You know, we want to help you be able to manage to keep your hands on your savings. And so the first thing I encourage you to do is to know your why. Of course, I wrote a book about it. It released last December, 2020 Money, about having a vision for your life. And I just have to keep going back to it because those who have a vision, it just is uncanny how much more easily for them it is for them to stick to their savings goals and their other investing goals, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you just know your why, especially for spenders, knowing your why is so powerful. And so I urge you, you have to remind yourself of why it is important that you are having savings. What is the why in your life? Is it that vacation you want to take with your family? Is it that small business dream? Is it that dream to own real estate? Is it that dream to own your own house? What is that dream? What are those dreams that are in front of you that will help you be able to stick to tougher decisions that allow you to make sure you don't put your grubby little paws on that savings? Because my grubby little paws got on the savings all the time. And, you know, Megan, it was really bad. Let me, I know you've never lived this way. Megan is perfect. She manages money perfectly. She's a saver. It's awesome. I think that's why we balance each other out on this podcast.
Yeah.
But here's what I know. I set up automatic savings being withheld from my paycheck. Okay? So I set that up, and that seemed awesome. I had $300 a paycheck set aside, sent over to my savings account. That's a great idea. Except for as soon as I would get paid, I would transfer the $300 right back to my bill pay account and off it would disappear. Every time. This went on for years.
Should have changed the password.
Never once did it stay. Hey, no. I'm a spender. So I not only did I do that, I made sure I paid the bills and I made sure I had my hands on the purse strings. That way I wouldn't have my saver bride impeding my ability to get my hands on the $300. Isn't that horrible? And our business was so bad where I was at as a manufacturing employee. I was an engineer. Some of you know that. And there's like 500 employees there. So they got the bank to put an ATM machine in the break room. And I hit it nearly every day for a $20 bill.
Oh my gosh.
I would go out and eat lunch. I'd spend $6 on lunch. But I don't know where the other $14, they just magically disappeared. It was horrible. And what's awesome, what I love about the craziness is I actually had started documenting where my money was going. It didn't change my behavior at all. It was just documenting history. And so I've got a booklet that's in my office. I've showed it to you guys before, where I document every $20 withdrawal, all 15 of them a month, $20, 15, $300, off it goes. And I don't even really know where it went other than I ate it. And so I just really know the reason that happened is I didn't have my why. I of course I had dreams. I just didn't have them written down. I did not know my why, and I didn't have unity with Jen on where we were headed. So I urge you, if you have problems with this wanter, where the wanter, spends all your money and then you don't have any for your needs, that's a problem. That is a real problem. Identify it as such. And one of the ways to get there is to write down your why. Anything you want to add to that?
I think that was really good. I think your why really, ultimately what you're saying is your why really helps you to stay focused and it gives you something to strive for and to work towards. It's one thing if we're saving this so we can do X. We're saving this so we can do Y. Whatever it is for your family, I feel like one of the biggest things we get is what do you do when your spouses aren't on the same page? So I feel like that's huge of getting on the same page and talking about this. It can be a great conversation to just talk about dreams and wants and where you want to go and finances and that kind of stuff. It's great for your finances, but it's also just great for a couple and bonding, and you're spending lots of time together now. So talk about your dreams. Why not?
Yeah. So, and it's awesome what you're saying there is about these dreams, especially when you get unified on it. It creates an emotion.
Yeah.
And we know that spending decisions are emotional decisions. You don't believe me? Just go to the used car lot, the new car lot. People fall in love with a specific car and an emotional moment make a years-long decision. And so I encourage you to know your why, because that creates that same emotional connection to it, which helps you have better, more positive financial behavior.
Yeah.
And so know your why. So the second thing is what?
The second thing is investigate past episodes.
That's right. So we're your financial doctors, Dr. Megan Hibbard and Dr. Joseph Sengel. We are your financial doctors. We're ER doctors. We're also long-term care doctors. And so here's what I know is whenever you have somebody that's ill, as doctors will go and say, you had this thing happen, let's go back and find out what happened. So if somebody has an allergic reaction to something, they start investigating the why. You know, what caused this episode? Was it food? Was it exposure to the dog, the cat, rolling around in grass? Is it pollen in the air? Is it a certain time of season? Is it something you ate? What was it? Because they're trying to investigate those past episodes to be able to identify the causes of the problem. And so what I want you to do is to do the same thing for your past financial episodes where you had a fit of spending and your wanter went out of control. Your wanter wandered and off you went spending your money. So what did you spend the money on? In these past episodes that caused your savings to go away, remember the question is, I finally get a month's worth of money saved up and then we spend it.
Right.
We don't know why. What did you spend the money on? In other words, what is your kryptonite? You know, kryptonite is that thing, it's Superman's, you know, it's what kills Superman. It's what prevents Superman from being Superman. The same thing for you. It keeps you from keeping the money in the account. What is the thing that knocks you down? So here, I'll explain for me. I used to get money saved up, finally got some money saved up, and then off it goes. I started investigating my past episodes, and I realized for me, one of the big ones, and this is a big one for a lot of our listeners. So listen up. Turn up the radio right now. It is known upcoming but non-monthly expenses. You know, I thought they were emergency expenses, but really they're expected emergencies. Like, think about it. Is it a surprise that car tires wear out?
No.
No. Is it a surprise that brakes wear out on a car?
No.
No. Is it a surprise that your car needs maintenance from time to time?
No.
No. Is it a surprise that a refrigerator will die after 18 years? Yeah, no. Right? But we view it as an emergency, an unexpected, unplanned emergency. But in reality, we know, we get signals from most of these things that something's happening. You know, as we sit here, I was telling you before we went on the air here that we have an episode with my 23-year-old truck that for the last 2 or 3 weeks, every time I started it, there was a whiff of campfire.
This is not
burning,
what you want.
like burning paper. Every time. And then it went away and I would drive it around, drive down the farm. Every time though, every time without fail that happened. And, you know, yesterday I found out what was causing it. The idler pulley had stopped turning. The bearings were bad, and it was burning through the universal belt, you know, the single belt that's on there. And finally, it just burnt through the belt, and the belt flung out on the road while I was on the road with my little 6-year-old daughter and grandpa, who can hardly walk without the help of a cane. And so it's a very special moment. So I had to, you know, the engine's still running hot because the fan's not working. But here's what I know. I had money saved to fix it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I didn't save money for these known upcoming non-monthly expenses. And so I had no money saved for vacation, no money saved for emergency funds, no money saved for brakes, for car tires, for Christmas, for special days, for homeowners association fees, all these things that aren't monthly, but we know they're coming. And we've done an episode on that, and I think we'll provide a link to it in the show notes on how to save for known upcoming non-monthly expenses, because that is one of the big episodes that eats people's savings. They finally get money saved up, and then summer vacation showed up.
Right.
They haven't saved separate money for it, so now they use the emergency fund money for it.
Yeah.
That Christmas shows up. They haven't saved money for it. They use the emergency fund money for it. So I encourage you, just kind of write down the last 3 or 4 times that you managed to get money saved up, and then you spent it. And you're like, man, I'm so frustrated. I can't ever seem to get ahead. I get a little money and then it goes away. You know, what caused you to spend the money? And then what can you learn from it? And then number 3, the big step is to do what?
Well, I think, before you go to number 3, I think when you talk about kryptonite, I think one of the big things that came into my head was apps like Amazon and Kohl's or
Yeah.
Target or all these apps that you have that make it so easy, which is great in the moment, so easy to buy things with the one click. I want to purchase this. My credit card's already
Absolutely.
in there. You can just send it to my house. You know exactly where it's going. And so I think, especially when people are at home, it's a lot easier just to, hey, I'm just going to buy this or I'm going to buy that or do that. Shows up at
Yes.
your house. Amazon was at my house one day 3 different times. Like, it just is ridiculous. We're remodeling our bathroom, so it kind of made sense. But I think, if that's a problem for you, then delete the app off of your phone.
Have you noticed Amazon Smile is more of a smirk? It's like, we got you. And so that's the third thing. After you know your why and you investigate past episodes, what do you got to do?
Install blockades. Sorry,
You got to install blockades.
I
It's
got ahead
exactly
of
what Megan's talking
myself.
about. You got to find ways to prevent this stuff from happening in the future.
Yeah.
So what is it? Do you need to cut up your credit cards and close the accounts? I had to. I had to. Now, not everybody needs to. I had to. Because when I investigated my past episodes, it was because I had a credit card in my pocket. That by the way, I'm going to go off on a rabbit trail here. So April 2nd, I is the last time I saw one of my credit cards. It's the last time I saw it. It just went missing. I was with my son. We went turkey hunting. I never saw it since.
Uh-oh.
I don't know where it's at. I've been checking it. No fraud. And then I logged in. It said, hey, we're sending new cards. So, I'm like, why bother telling them I lost this one, blah, blah, blah. So this morning, before we record this podcast, I'm talking weeks later, I went turkey hunting with my son right before the end of season. And we get home. I've been out hunting all day. I come home. I take off my boot.
Oh.
And my credit card falls out of my boot. My foot has been in the boot with the credit card all day, apparently. It's unbelievable. I don't know why it just happened. But listen, I have credit cards. I don't pay a dime of interest. I get all the points, all that stuff. But back 2006, Joe, 2003, Joe, 2002, Joe, bad with credit cards. So guess what Joe did? Joe chopped up the credit cards and shut off the accounts. I had to install a blockade. Hey, another step you can take is to freeze your credit. You can literally go freeze your credit. Go to annualcreditreport.com, and it has instructions for freezing your credit. What does that mean? It means you have to physically call in to thaw your credit out to open up a new line of credit. That can help you. And establish accountability with someone, with your spouse first and foremost, and with a financial coach. I'm telling you, you need a financial coach to help you. Establish accountability. It can be a friend at work who's on the same money journey, who's viewing it the same way. Create and follow a monthly budget. That is a way of creating accountability, self-accountability. It's installing blockades. But what are we really saying? What we're really talking about is finding ways to fire your wanter. You got to get rid of your wanter, wonder. So watch this. You got to turn off access to the things that enable your behavior. Megan just mentioned it. Amazon Prime has become the new credit card for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, one click.
Yeah.
Deliver, one click. I've done it. All God's children seem to have done it. The Amazon Prime stock price says that everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Credit cards, your favorite store, website. You mentioned Kohl's. It's not just Kohl's. It's your favorite store that eats you alive.
Yeah.
Target.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
I miss Target.
So here's what I know. You got to fire your wanter. And I'm encouraging all of you, even if you are winning with your money, but it is helpful on a regular basis to go back and reevaluate. Has something snuck in? Amazon Prime snuck into my house right under my nose. I didn't even know we had it for the first year. I didn't even know we had it. I didn't know anything about this. I just heard about Prime. I started seeing Prime boxes installed at gas stations and stuff, and boxes started showing up here in the office. And then I'm like, I need this thing, and it's cheaper here than I'm in the store, and I see it's cheaper on Amazon. And I don't have to carry it out to my car. I was getting new pet stuff for my pet. And literally, I'm in PetSmart. Sorry, PetSmart. I went and looked at it, said it's $10 cheaper, and I don't have to carry it to my car. I don't have to carry it out of my car. It's delivered to my door, and it's there tomorrow.
Yes.
I bought it, signed with one click. And so I just would tell you, if you don't have a budget and you don't have accountability and you don't find ways to install blockades, you're just going to continue to be saying, we spent more than we expected. I don't know what happened. I don't know how to handle this. I encourage you. I strongly implore you to win with money. You must have a period of time where your wanter is eliminated from your finances, because unchecked An out of control wanter will lead to endless spending. It will lead to greed. It will lead to envy. And it will lead to much unhappiness. And so I encourage you, know your why. That helps you stick to it with that positive emotion. Number 2, investigate your past episodes where you have overspent, and then install blockades, whatever is necessary to fire your wanter. I'm telling you, it's not fun when you're firing it. It's like the 3-year-old child jumping up and down saying, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. You know, they've tried their sweet self. That didn't work. So now they're trying the angry self, and a lot of times that works for them. You know what? You got to fire your wanter.
Yep. All right. So we have a quote this week. So our verse, quote/verse, it's a verse, is Proverbs 13:4, and it says, a sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied.
Absolutely. And I love that. You know, a sluggard's appetite is never filled. What does it mean? If somebody is lazy, it's just like they can never get enough, never get enough, never get enough, never get enough. But when somebody is diligent, that those desires are fully satisfied. And I'll tell you, as surely as I sit here recording this podcast, the reason the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied is because the desires of diligent people are different from those that are lazy. It's unbelievable and profound how the desires of a person who works hard at getting better at money, as a person who works hard at their job, at the person who focuses on getting better every day instead of getting bitter, how their desires totally change. And that's why we want to help you live a fully funded life, to climb up that ladder, live that fully funded life so you can go do exactly what you've been put on earth to do.
Okay, so our next episode is going to be super interesting. So we're going to dive into a topic that affects many relationships, especially couples, and that's how to fight fair when it comes to money. Ooh. So it's not a secret that fighting about money is one of the biggest issues in marriage. And since most of us had fights or discussions, as some may call them, yes, and we call them intense fellowship.
Oh, okay. That's what you and Jordan call them?
Yeah.
We also call it dialogue.
Dialogue.
Yeah.
We're going to go have some dialogue right now. We're going to provide some help on how to keep it fair. So
yeah. This ought to be fun.
Yeah.
And so for those of you, you know, you're married and you're figuring out, you know, this money thing is a challenge and how to fight fair about it. You know what? It just might help you with other areas of your conversations, dialogue, or intense fellowships, as you said. So that ought to be fun. So as we round up today's podcast, we'll let Megan close it out.
Yeah. So
what's one thing you would share?
I would say figure out what the one thing is for you. I would say most everyone, when you were talking about it, could pinpoint what it was deep down, whether you're willing to admit it to yourself or not.
That one thing that keeps poking
in the open
sore.
You know what it is. You know, I mean, right now the going out to eat is kind of being a little bit limited, but maybe that's what it is for you. Maybe it's Amazon, maybe it's Target, maybe it's whatever, you know. Whatever it is, I would say really take some time to dig into that and find a way. If you're struggling with this, if this is your issue, then there's definitely ways you can fix it.
The greatest thing you can do on a Monday, fire your wanter. Have a great Monday.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Monday Money Tip Podcast, presented by I Was Broke, Now I'm Not. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review and subscribe. And for more great content and to stay up to date, visit iwbnin.com. We'll catch you next time.